I want to talk about umpiring, and not just field umpiring. In fact, not as much even field umpiring. I want to talk about goal umpires. I really fear that they're going the way of lines people in tennis. And I understand that a lot of people would argue that tennis is much better without the lines people, and it's a bit cleaner, and I get that. But football isn't as black and white as tennis. It's not as cut and dry. There's emotion. It's a 360-degree game. There's things that happen. There's things that go wrong. So I heard a lot of commentary on the weekend about why they score reviewing this and it hasn't touched the post and why are we wasting time and, we should just be able to do it automatically. And we've got Laura Kane, the new head of football, talking about chips in the ball.
The AFL will take a significant step forward this week in the introduction of ball chip technology. Returning to Chief Football reporter Mitch Cleary. And Mitch, the first trial will be on Friday night.
And Tim, the AFL is hoping this unlocks the future of the much-discussed score review. It'll take place for the first time in a competitive game in the VFL Sandringham-Collingwood clash. Now, this comes after blind testing with more than 125 AFL players over the pre-season who noticed no difference with the electronic sensor in the Sherrin. It'll provide data on how far the ball has travelled and at what speed. And while it won't be used to determine score reviews this week, the aim is for it to eventually conclude if the ball has crossed the line, hit the post, or been touched.
Yeah, I just think, Mitch, we're going to get to a point where in 10 years' time, I fear that when the ball is kicked from a set shot for goal, it's just going to, a chip in a ball is going to pass through a laser sensor in the posts and it'll just come up on the ground as goal or point or out in the full. I remember growing up, and I still do it to this. I don't know if you do this. When there's a set shot for goal, if I'm watching on the wing, I watch the goal umpire to see how far he or she moves, left or right. Because if they start running, it's like, it doesn't matter. Like, it's not going to be a goal. Whereas if they, do that thing and they stop and they lift their head up, it's like, oh, it's a straight kick.
I hope we got that on the video for the YouTube.
Yeah, they sort of, they straighten the arms and then they...
Watching it. Straight over the goal umpire's hat.
So going to the G when I was little, watching Fev kick, I would just watch the goal umpire. And I don't know if we want to get to a point where, I can't watch the English Premier League anymore because when a player scores a goal, they don't even celebrate now because they're like, we're just going to make sure for the VAR, if they go through the last 45 seconds, if there wasn't a foul at left back in the build-up. And I really worry, and this is why I'm turning the goal umpiring to umpiring in general and technology. I really worry we're going to get to the point where, hey, if we can have the technology in scores, why can't we have the technology in ridiculous holding the ball decisions? And I don't know why the average fan talks like this, by the way. While we're at it, each team should be given 3 challenges a game at umpiring decisions in the build-up to a goal. Please, for goodness sake, let's get to that point.
The chances of that staying 100%, like if we go down the ball chip and we have the result on the screen, the odds of that stacking up for the full season is slim, right?
Yeah, so I was in the box on Friday before 3RB football. I'm not going to name names here because it's irrelevant. But the people in the back of the box, across the networks, they all sort of talk before, which is great fun. And so much of the talk was from the previous night from Carlton Richmond about, how ridiculous was that 50-metre penalty that ended up being a 60-metre penalty. I forget the one it was. Was it against Baker? It was a stiff 50, but it ended up going 60
remember.
and put whoever it was within kicking distance. And I just went, okay. I shrugged. And they're like, is that not a big deal? And I'm like, if umpires give away 150-metre penalties, they probably get 98.5 spot on 1 to 2 metres out. Like we're talking about one. Like, who cares? Like, are we actually going to get to a point where, so if there's a chip in the ball, are the umpires going to have a wristwatch that connects them to the chip in the ball that also tells them whether the kick goes 15 metres or not? And if it goes 14.9, it's play on. If it goes 15 point...
Actually, now you mention it, I've agreed with everything you've said in this podcast up until that point. Why don't the umpires just have a little thing on their hand?
No, because technology's going to ruin it.
But we can track everyone to within an inch of their life at the moment. We should have the 50-metre penalty tracked.
But Mitch, there'll be a situation where at some point the technology breaks down or like
that's what I'm getting at with the goal review stuff.
Yeah, our game is so beautiful because it is so authentic. And for want of a better phrase, shit happens. Now, I know that that doesn't help fans when things happen in dying moments of games that cost them finals. Like, I get why Adelaide was so frustrated with what happened in that game against Sydney.
But that wasn't a technology fault. That was just
human error.
Human error, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's a little bit like my. I'm going to call an air raid siren on the air raid siren because we're going to get.
You can't do that. It's not in the rules.
No, but I know, but it's like going to get into an issue that I don't want to talk about. But it's a little bit like what the AFL is trying to do with concussion. It's like I completely get what they're doing, but you can only mitigate against serious injury to a certain degree. It's the same with the technology. You can put technology in every aspect of the game that you want to, if you really want to, but at what point does it diminish and or dilute the value of the beauty of the game? That's my 5-minute rant.
I like that. I can feel the passion. I can feel young Sam and his navy blue jumper coming out in the
25 on the back
air raid siren of 2024. Can I have my 2 bulbs on the advantage rule? I don't think it's. I've never been more confused with the advantage rule right now. Sometimes it's paid, sometimes it's not.
Yeah, now
the first 2 weeks
they bring it back. Yeah,
that's first 2 weeks has been frustrating.
That's a fair point.